Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV with support from the Southwest TV Translator Association.
If you have a news tip or topics you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show runs Tuesday at noon and is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired on Friday at noon, 3 and 6. Today is November 7th, 2017, and now the news at noon.
According to the Durango Herald, at least one woman was arrested Monday night after a brief standoff with police in West Durango, where 3 people are suspected of trespassing into a vacant house. Police responded at about 4:45 p.m. to the 21,000 block of U.S. Highway 160, where someone reported a garage door and a sliding glass door open on a vacant house, said Commander Jacob Dunlap, with the Durango Police Department. When police arrived, they found a woman outside where she shouldn't have been, he said. Officers drew firearms as a safety precaution and detained the woman. Police saw movement inside the house and surrounded it. After officers were in place, they attempted to use a loudspeaker to communicate with the occupants. They also lit up the house with floodlights. They weren't sure if anybody else was in the house, and for officer safety, obviously, you don't go into a house without having a better idea of what's going on, Dunlap said. A second woman was detained, as was a man seen walking nearby but away from the house, Dunlap said. My understanding is they were actually being pretty cooperative, he said. It is possible all 3 are homeless and were looking for a place to stay. It's my understanding that the people that were inside the residence may not have other residences inside the community, he said. A 22-year-old woman was arrested on a statewide arrest warrant, he said. Dunlap did not immediately know if the other 2 suspects will be charged, and if so, what charges they will face.
From the Journal in Cortez, this winter, if you see a snowplow in southwest Colorado that looks like it's jackknifing, don't be alarmed. The Colorado Department of Transportation recently announced it will add 2 tow plows to its fleet, considered a significantly more efficient way to remove snow from roads. It may look like the snowplow is jackknifing, Ronnie Medina, CDOT Alamosa maintenance supervisor, said in a prepared statement. But the snowplow driver is actually swinging out the tow plow trailer to gain area and push as much snow as possible off the highway. Basically, a tow plow is a regular snowplow truck carrying a 10 to 12 foot blade that pulls a trailer equipped with another blade, which can clear an additional 12 feet of highway. In total, one truck will be able to clear 22 feet of snow. We will be able to do more with less, Medina said. It will be a great advantage to clear more miles in less time. The total length of the snowplow truck and trailer is about 70 feet long. The jackknife appearance comes into play when the driver deploys the trailer at an angle to more efficiently clear the road. Lisa Schwantes, spokeswoman for CDOT, said the trailer with the additional snowplow retains traction because of the weight of the 2 tanks on it, one carrying liquid de-icer and the other holding sand. Schwantes said the new snowplows will be followed by a regular snowplow and a CDOT supervisor's vehicle, just temporarily as the public becomes accustomed to the new equipment. In the future, once the public is more comfortable and familiar with the tow plow trucks, it's likely it will clear the road alone. The two tow plows are a new addition to CDOT's Region 5, which covers southwest and south central Colorado. However, the trucks have been used in other parts of the state since 2009. The tow plows will be used on U.S. Highways 160, 550, 285, and 50, which covers areas of Durango, Monte Vista, Alamosa, Blanca, Fort Garland, La Veta Pass, Poncha Springs, and Salida. Schwantes said CDOT's Section 3 crew within Region 5, which is specifically southwest Colorado, now features 107 pieces of heavy equipment, of which 62 are snowplows.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, an agreement approved Monday between U.S. officials and environmentalists would ban the use of predator-killing cyanide traps on Colorado public lands. But a government agency said federal workers already had stopped using the devices except on the state's private lands. Public pressure for a nationwide ban on the traps meant to protect livestock from predators has increased since an Idaho teenager was injured and his dog killed by one in March. The environmental groups Wild Earth Guardians and the Center for Biological Diversity sued the government earlier this year, alleging cyanide traps kill wildlife and pets indiscriminately. Under Monday's agreement, which was approved by U.S. District Judge Wiley Daniel, the Agriculture Department must reconsider the environmental impacts of the traps as part of its predator management program in Colorado. Agriculture Department spokeswoman Tanya Espinoza said the devices haven't been used for years on federal or state lands in Colorado, despite an agency study from January that suggested they were allowed on state land. Espinoza said the inclusion of state lands in that study was unintended. Espinoza's statement was corroborated by Colorado Parks and Wildlife spokeswoman Lauren Truitt, who said federal workers haven't used the trap since voters approved an anti-trapping initiative in 1996. Stuart Wilcox with Wild Earth Guardian said he was skeptical of the claim the traps aren't currently being used on public lands in Colorado, but he had no records that showed otherwise. The government in June launched a nationwide review of the devices, also known as M44s or cyanide bombs. The traps are partially buried and baited to attract predators, and animals that trigger them are sprayed with a deadly dose of cyanide. Espinoza declined to say when the review might be done. An agreement is pending in a separate lawsuit challenging the device's use nationwide.
From the Durango Herald, next season, skiers and snowboarders at Wolf Creek Ski Area could spend less time shuffling back to the Alberta Lift after venturing too far east. The U.S. Forest Service announced the approval of the new Meadow Lift on Monday in a news release. The new lift will start below the Alberta Lift and run at a 45-degree angle to the larger lift. It will end at Tower 9 of the Alberta Lift, said Wolf Creek owner Davey Pitcher. The detachable high-speed lift will serve both experts and beginners, he said. More advanced skiers and snowboarders will likely use the 2,000-foot-long lift to get back to the Alberta Lift after coming down from the Knife Ridge, Horseshoe Bowl, and Spooner Hill, he said. A lot of people like Alberta, Pitcher said. A lot of people didn't like having to traverse back to the lift from the bottom. The new lift will also allow beginners to access some low-angle terrain, he said. We wanted to be very careful not to have another lift on the ridge that would overutilize the steeper terrain, he said. Work on the lift will start in April and is expected to finish in the fall of 2018. Pitcher expects it will require all of next spring and early summer to build the lift. The approval process took 4 years. The ski area also plans to put in a few new trails that will lead down to the Meadow Lift. Wolf Creek may clear about 30 acres for the new trails. Wolf Creek's master plan anticipates eventually opening up 900 acres of terrain in the next drainage to the east, which would be served by low-capacity tram. It would be consistent with the terrain in Silverton or Aspen, he said.
According to the Cortez Journal, after an inmate at La Plata County Jail had a medical incident on Saturday, the La Plata County Sheriff's Office started investigating drugs in the facility. It was a medical condition that alerted us to the situation, La Plata County Sheriff Sean Smith said. While the investigation started after the medical incident, it's not clear the two are connected, he said. We are trying to determine how it was done and how far it goes, Smith said of the investigation into the drugs. More information about the investigation may be available this week. We have to do laboratory testing and interview inmates and figure out how we can learn from this situation, he said. The sheriff's office did some field testing on the drugs, and the staff members believe they know what was brought into the jail, but Smith is waiting for laboratory confirmation before identifying the drug, he said. He also could not say when the drugs were brought into the jail. The male inmate was taken to Mercy Regional Medical Center and he was cleared to return to jail, Smith said. The sheriff's office is exploring the use of body scanners and the potential of having drug-sniffing dogs for the jail. And now let's take a look at the weather.
The National Weather News shows mainly rain and thunderstorms moving across the southwest and southern states, snows in the higher elevations of the Rockies, and rains through to the mid-Atlantic following that low-pressure jet stream. For the rest of the country, the high pressure is keeping things calm and dry, though the next rain or snow outlook appears to be coming into the Pacific Northwest over the next few days. Regionally, the National Weather Service is predicting scattered showers will continue today as the upper-level trough progresses southward. The focus for significant snowfall shifts towards the San Juan Mountains in southwest Colorado as a disturbance tracks across the Four Corners, bringing with it moisture. 5 to 10 inches of snow is expected in the San Juans through this evening for elevations above 9,500 feet, with locally higher amounts of up to a foot above 10,000 feet. Tonight, high pressure will move over the area, pushing all the precipitation to the east. Southern areas will be last to clear out as the winter weather advisory continues until 11 p.m. The high-pressure ridge over the area is expected to weaken from Wednesday night into Thursday. The resulting flow will remain dry through Friday morning, allowing above normal warmth to return during the latter half of the week. The Pacific North storm coming in may create some light precipitation over the San Juan Mountains by Sunday night. However, whether we actually see any snow is unlikely at this point. Northwest San Juan Mountains and southwest San Juan Mountains, including the cities of Telluride, Ouray, Lake City, Silverton, Rico, and Hesperus, are all covered in the current winter weather advisory, which remains in effect, as I said, until 11 p.m. this evening. And that includes snow occurring will be moderate to heavy at times through this evening. Roadways through the southern mountains will be wet to snow-packed. In addition, some reductions to visibility are expected. Additional snow accumulations of 4 to 8 inches above 9,500 feet, with locally higher amounts of up to a foot, will happen above 10,000 feet. Again, this includes southwest San Juan Mountains and southwest San Juan Mountains at elevations above 9,500. Southwest winds will be gusting at 35 to 45 miles an hour above 10,000 feet, creating areas of blowing and drifting snow such that visibilities will be often reduced to under half a mile at times. To DCTV's 5-day outlook. Today's Tuesday. Continued opportunities for scattered showers though it's partly sunny with a high near 50. Southwest winds run 5 to 15 miles an hour, and there is a chance of precipitation still at 40%. Tonight, scattered rain showers, possibly mixing with snow after 10 p.m., and then it will be gradually ending. Partly cloudy with a low around 28. North-northeast winds are 5 to 10 miles an hour, and the chance of precipitation is just 30%. Wednesday, it clears up and will be sunny with a high near 52. North-northeast winds around 5 miles an hour, becoming southwest in the afternoon. Wednesday night is mostly clear with a low around 28. South-southwest winds around 5. Thursday, again sunny with a high near 58. South-southwest winds 5 to 10. Thursday night, mostly clear with a low around 34. And as the sunshine warms up through the weekend, we're looking at Friday again to be mostly sunny with a high near 60. Friday night low around 33. Veterans Day Saturday, sunny with a high near 56 and a low around 32. And finishing off the weekend on Sunday, mostly sunny with a high near 58 and a low around 34. Once again, the weather warning for western Colorado shows mountain snow and valley rain will continue to impact portions of the southwestern Colorado today and early this evening, and eastern Utah stays mainly dry and mild, and scatter showers affect the northern and central mountains of Colorado. Winter driving conditions are likely this morning over the northern and central Colorado mountain passes from snow that fell yesterday and from continuing scattered showers. Hazardous driving conditions will continue over southwest Colorado as well, including Red Mountain Pass. So once we get through today, it's looking like lovely fall brisk weather for the rest of the week and weekend. And now, back to the news.
Reported by the Durango Herald, law enforcement agencies in southwest Colorado suffering from a lack of proper training grounds are looking for space for a new facility, an endeavor hamstrung by a lack of suitable land and money for construction. On Monday, La Plata County commissioners and staff heard a presentation of a months-long review process to identify possible locations for a new gun range, as well as what the costs may be to purchase the property and build the project. With this approach, we were taking a broad view and thinking big, said La Plata County Manager Joan Spina. We may have to do it one step at a time. The La Plata County Sheriff's Office had an exclusive gun range until 2006, when it was closed to make room for a much-needed expansion of the county jail in Bodo Industrial Park, county officials said. Since then, the Sheriff's Office, as well as the Durango Police Department and other local law enforcement agencies, have used the Durango Gun Club range in Bodo Park for firearms training and practice. But Sheriff Smith said that the Sheriff's Office needs for training have outgrown the size and facilities of the Durango Gun Club, which has leased the county-owned 14.5 acres in Bodo Park since 1979. It's critical for us to get a shooting range, Smith said. On top of the lack of a proper gun range, the Sheriff's Office also recently lost access to a driver training facility in Farmington, which allowed deputies to practice high-speed chases and other emergency traffic situations. As a result, the planning for the new gun range also included other wish list facilities, such as a driving track, a possible indoor classroom, and indoor shooting range, as well as room for firefighters to practice simulations.
An article on hemp in our region in the Denver Post from thecannabis.co. Hardship rides the wind in the West End, a lonely basin where Colorado's Uncompahgre Plateau joins Utah's Canyonlands. It started more than 30 years ago, when the collapse of the uranium market and the failure of the country's nuclear energy renaissance decimated the town of Uravan and idled mines along the region's bountiful Uravan mineral belt. Now, the looming closure of the region's largest employers, the Nukla Power Plant and New Horizon Mine, both owned by Tri-State Generation and Transmission Association, promises even more calamity for the dwindling number of hardscrabble residents of the economically moribund Paradox Valley. But the threat of extinction has spurred hope in the West End, buoyed by innovation and a bohemian embrace of a new Montrose County economy that is betting big on hemp and tourism as it moves away from a heavy reliance on mining. It's a scene unfolding across the West as rural communities tire of the roller coaster ride of dependence on old-school extractive industries. Coal plummets and communities huddle. The oil market slows and belts tighten. Mining hopes sputter as other countries move mountains to get at valuable oil. The boom-bust cycle eats away at a rural region's vibrancy as young people flee and economies wither between booms. Deanna Sheriff leads the West End Economic Development Corporation's culture-shifting crusade to find new economic engines in a region overly reliant on fickle international mineral markets. She said, "It's really galvanized this community, and it's really made us realize that something has to be done." In remote communities across Colorado, business owners and economic development types aren't scrambling for a holy grail enterprise to replace fading monopolies, so much as seeding a more diverse economy with recreation and broadband. In the West End, agitators are doing just that with a revamped airport, high-speed internet, alluring amenities, and a wider embrace of any and all innovators and entrepreneurs. But mainly, they are championing hemp. Sheriff said our high school kids, the 4-H and ag students, they are going to be tending to the field, a field right next to the dormant Nukla School where a host of new businesses, many hemp-centric, will soon set up shop. It's going to be an advanced technology incubator dependent on hemp. We already are about 85% full, he said. The school, a 79-year-old native stone building that hasn't hosted students in more than a decade, is the spring that area innovators hope will quench the west end of Montrose County's economic drought. Despite everything out there right now, this is the highest level of optimism I've seen in several years, said State Senator Don Coram, a Montrose native whose Paradox Ventures is betting big on hemp. Coram's new company will take over most of the schoolhouse, with processing machines in the old gymnasium extracting medical-grade CBD oil from hemp. The company plans to provide high-end hemp seedlings to area growers and then offer harvesting equipment, oil processing, and fiber processing from the school plant. The idea is a one-stop shop from seed to sale. The West End's arc of once bustling communities, Natarita, Nukla, Uravan, Bedrock, Redvale, and Paradox, never really recovered from the collapse in uranium in the mid-1980s. The region has faded into one of Colorado's most impoverished areas, with about 18% of the area's residents living in poverty, compared with 11.5% for Colorado. Hemp may well become one of the major pillars in a new economy for the depressed region, along with recreation, tourism, and the potential for diversified new resource extraction. Nukla is leading the way. Now, will other small impoverished communities look towards this example for their futures as well?
Reported by the Durango Herald, San Juan Basin Public Health is warning residents to stay away from stray and wild animals after 2 skunks tested positive for rabies in Durango. One of those skunks appeared on the steps of Z Chiropractic office in late October on East 2nd Avenue in Durango. Staff noticed the strange behavior at about 9 a.m. October 20th. It drew the attention of passerbys, he said. The skunk raised its tail as people walked by, but it didn't spray and it wasn't aggressive, Lamson said. La Plata County animal protection officers euthanized the skunk on the steps of the business in case it was rabid, Lamson said. They did not test it for rabies ahead of time. San Juan Basin Health confirmed one of the 2 rabid skunks was found on October 20th near East 2nd Avenue and 11th Street. In recent years, the number of skunks with rabies has rapidly increased, and they are now the main carriers of the disease in Colorado, according to the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. This year, 150 animals have been found carrying the disease in the state, and 79 of them were skunks, the news release said. Skunk variant rabies is prevalent throughout the eastern half of Colorado, said Jennifer House, a state public health veterinarian. Rabies is a viral infection that affects the nervous system of mammals. It is spread mainly through animal bites. Animals carrying rabies tend to be either more aggressive or more tame than usual.
According to the Denver Post, northern Colorado and the Western Slope will claim larger shares of Colorado's population as the state adds 3 million new residents over the next 3.5 decades. This, according to state forecasts. Greeley and Fort Collins will more than double in population, and the Western Slope will grow by 2/3 by 2050. The State Demography Office predicts, while Denver, Boulder, Pueblo, and the Central Mountain resorts will grow at slower rates. Also, Colorado Springs will overtake a built-out Denver as the state's largest city. Between 2015 and 2050, Colorado will add the equivalent of another Metro Denver, on its way to around 8.5 million residents. Though it's a lot of people, the state's rate of growth actually is predicted to slow during that period as the baby boomer generation moves on. State and local officials use the forecast to plan for growth, a hot topic as Colorado's roads, housing market, and the environment strain from an influx of out-of-state migrants. It really is tied to jobs by industry and how those are forecast to grow in the state and country, as well as population by age, said state demographer Elizabeth Garner. The Western Slope's share of the state population will rise from 10.3% to 11.1% of the total, but pretty much every other area, including the Central Mountain resorts, the Eastern Plains, and the San Luis Valley, will lose share. The Western Slope's increased share will result from the addition of around 379,000 people, which translates to a 67.2% gain in population. Archuleta, Dolores, La Plata, Montezuma, and San Juan counties in the state's southwest corner will see the strongest population gains on the Western Slope through 2050 at 78.1%. About a third of Colorado counties have lost population since 2010, and a third are now experiencing more deaths than births. DeGrone said, looking forward, large swaths of southwestern Colorado are expected to lose population through 2050. Over time, the state's average rate of population growth will drop from roughly 1.6% a year through 2030 to a much slower 0.8% pace between 2045 and 2050. Births minus deaths, or the natural rate of population, will fall to 1970 levels as a big demographic bulge of older adults die off. A rising death rate will make the state economy more heavily dependent, especially after 2020, on attracting workers from other parts of the country to fill open jobs.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of October 30th through November 5th. A local business was reported unlocked and no one around. Owners were contacted and the building was secured by deputies. Deputies are investigating a reported accidental gunshot wound. A town resident reported their dog missing. The dog returned home safely. A resident reported possible unauthorized use of a vehicle. A deputy responded and determined the case was a civil matter. That concludes today's roundup. Stay tuned for continued updates.
Today's High Canyon Country happenings. On November 7th at the Sunflower Theater in Cortez, it's the Hisatsinom chapter of the Colorado Archaeological Society presenting Brian Yaquinto in Rediscovering the Fremont of Northwest Colorado presentation. A presentation that's free to the public. A $5 donation is appreciated at the door. Also November 7th at the Cortez Elks Lodge, you can, quote, get your paint on with Ashley Nolan, painting Autumn Stroll, an example painting. Admission is $30 per person, which includes painting instruction and all painting supplies. Class size is limited to 25 people. She asked you to register online at ashleynolanart.com, and if you would like to pay cash, please send a message that includes how many seats you'd like to reserve. You're welcome to purchase food and drink from the Elks Lodge Bar and Restaurant. November 14th at the Wild Edge Brewing in Cortez, it's a new beer release, Pomastique. Pomastique is an Abbey Ale-inspired beer brewed with all Pilsner malt, noble hops, yeast from an abbey in Belgium, and a bit of apple cider. Come on out and try a pint. All of these happenings are posted up on the DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the YouTube replays, weather, and original stories and local posts. To share your event or information, contact us. It's dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station at 677-411-9, and we'll be sure to get your news on air.
Thanks for tuning in. News at Noon airs at noon Monday through Wednesday and then is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 3, and 6.
And be sure to check us out on Facebook. It's DCTV News at Noon. Please like us there and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook with DCTV and the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.